A madman with an assault rifle gunned down more than 24 members of a small Texas church, including children and the pastor's teenage daughter, during Sunday morning worship services in one of the deadliest mass shootings in the nation's history. The victims ranged in age from 5 to 72 in the latest example of all too familiar national carnage, just over a month after a gunman rained death on 58 people from a hotel window in Las Vegas. Devin Kelly, 26, was identified as the shooter hours after the gunman burst into a Sutherland Springs church, about 35 miles southeast of San Antonio, and opened fire, killing at least 26 people and wounding 20 more. Two victims were siblings, just 5 and 7, a relative said. Their mother was also murdered. Kelly, who federal officials said had no known terrorist links, was later found shot to death. Nick Wagner at the Rev. Frank Pomeroy, pastor of the First Baptist Church, said his youngest daughter, Annabelle, 14, was among the victims. Annabelle was one very beautiful, special child, Pomeroy told ABC News. He was traveling in Oklahoma when the massacre happened in the small, white house of worship. My husband and I were ironically out of town in 2 different states, Sherry Pomeroy told CBS News via text message Sunday afternoon. She added, neither of us have made it back into town yet to personally see the devastation. I am at the Charlotte, North Carolina airport trying to get home as soon as I can. It was just a week earlier that Pomeroy delivered a sermon encouraging parishioners to lean on the Lord, even in the midst of senseless chaos. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not rely or lean on your own understanding, he preached at the time. You see, God's understanding is far greater, and there may be things that are taking place that you don't understand, but you still need to do what God's calling you to do. Survivors and loved ones were clinging to those prescient words in the midst of unspeakable horror. Kelly, dressed all in black, was seen at a Valero gas station across the street from the church in Sutherland Springs about 11:20 a.m. on Sunday, said Regional Public Safety Director Freeman Marcus. First Baptist Church YouTube. The killer then crossed the street, got out of his silver SUV and began firing at the church. He then moved to the right side of the building and continued to fire. Marcus said a resident grabbed a rifle and confronted the church shooter, who wore tactical gear and a bulletproof vest, just as the gunman was leaving. The gunman dropped his weapon and sped off with the armed civilian and a neighbor, Johnny Langendorf, in pursuit in Langendorf's truck. I was trying to get to him, apprehended, Langendorf said. It was strictly just acting on what the right thing to do was. A short time later, law enforcement found Kelly's vehicle crashed near the county line, with the killer dead inside. They found other weapons in the vehicle. At this time we don't know if it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound or if he was shot by the local resident, Marcus said. Officials said there was no immediate motive for the mass shooting. 3 of the 5 highest death tolls from gun rampages in U.S. history have now occurred in the last 17 months, including the Texas and Las Vegas shootings and the Orlando Club massacre in June 2016 that left 49 dead. Sunday's church shooting also occurred on the 8th anniversary of the rampage at a military base in Fort Hood, Texas, that left 13 dead. Nick Wagner, at unsuspecting parishioners, singing hymns and saying prayers, ran for their lives when the gunshots rang out. We heard several shots and we all started running inside the store, a witness at the Valero gas station told ABC News. It lasted about 15 seconds, she said. I yelled, get down, get inside, and we all went into hiding. Jay Janarat, the deceased, included 23 people who were killed inside the church, 2 slain outside the church and 1 more victim who died at a local hospital. Cops flooded the area, forming a perimeter around the church. FBI and Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms agents were on the scene. Records described the shooter as a resident of New Braunfels, Texas, which is about 35 miles from Sutherland Springs, a small town of about 360 residents. A military spokeswoman said Kelly served in the Air Force, and received a bad conduct discharge in 2012 after he was court-martialed on charges of assaulting his wife and child. Kelly's LinkedIn page said he served for a month as a teacher's aide for a vacation Bible school in Kingsville, Texas, about 140 miles south of Sutherland Springs. He was teaching children 4 to 6 years old, according to the LinkedIn page, helping their minds grow and prosper. Children were among those shot in the church. I am a hard-working, dedicated person, he said on the LinkedIn page. I live by his 6 core values on which the Air Force go by. The suspect's Facebook profile showed a picture of an AR-15 style gun. One report said Kelly purchased the Ruger AR-556 rifle in April 2016 in San Antonio. Jana Rap SHE's a bad BH, Kelly said of the rifle, in a picture posted just a week earlier. His Facebook profile picture showed two small children. Texas Gov. Greg Abbott tweeted his condolences to everyone affected by the tragedy. President Trump also acknowledged the shooting during his trip to Asia. This act of evil occurred as the victims and their families were in their place of sacred worship, Trump said in Tokyo. We cannot put into words the pain and grief we all feel, and we cannot begin to imagine the suffering of those who lost the ones they love. But in dark times, and these are, such as these, Americans do what they do best, we pull together. Darren Abbott Gov. Cuomo said such killings have become unforgivably common in our society. We cannot accept mass shootings as part of who we are. This can and must stop. Officials said the attack was the deadliest church shooting in U.S. history and largest mass shooting ever in Texas. Mourners filling the church's parking lot during an evening vigil said the shooting wounded the whole community. When children are involved, it hits closer to home, said Tommy Barker, 60. And at a church, you think you're safe. Mario Cavazos, 53, who heard the shots as he was driving to his auto body shop nearby, said he had friends in the church. We grew up together. We worked together. Real good friends of ours, Cavazos said. There's just hatred all over the place. People, you know, everybody's got problems and they stick it on somebody else. It's a cruel world.